Everybody, it's Kit, actually from today. So I just wanted to say sorry for this being late. I did my best to not have it be late, but there was just not enough time in the day yesterday, and other things took priority. So this is going to be a Sunday evening episode. um, yeah. So I'm very sorry, and I am going to release you to the past Kit now. Hey everybody, it is Kit here. Happy Sunday and welcome back to another read along and crochet with the blanket that is it growing? Is Massimo getting smaller? No, what's it? Oh, wait, no, okay, no, we're good, we're good. I just made my bed like, I don't know, 10 minutes ago? 20? No, about 30 minutes ago. He's already made it. I'm just trying to have one night on clean sheets. But thankfully, he only got underneath the quilt. He did not get under the fitted sheet. As long as he doesn't get under the fitted sheet, I will have my dream of clean, no grit, no nothing sheets. It's nice. If you're a dog owner and they sleep with you, you understand. But anyways, so we are going to get right into it. I'm also a little short for time, so I'm going to try to keep this at 45 minutes. So we will see how far we get. So, last week, Cooper and Winters essentially had to subdue and get Greene back from a headspace. Essentially, he kind of, and this part will explain it more, but he has a cursed bloodline, and it got triggered, and he's not very good at controlling it. It's happened to him literally single digits in his entire lifespan, and he's like 200 years old. He doesn't know much about it, and it's very, very, very difficult to get out of. Um, and Cooper has seen what happens with that, but Winters was able to allow Cooper to reach where Greene was like being subdued, his animal was in his mind, um, through whatever her magic is. So, yeah, everybody's alive, which is great. And now they kind of have a game plan. They kind of know what they're doing, and the POV is changing more to Greene, because he's in the bathroom, like, trying to get his shit together. Yeah. So, let's check on Greene, shall we? And as Cooper walked off, phone in hand, mind already calculating the next moves, Greene stayed in the shower. Water poured down his aching back in icy sheets, the cold doing very little for the aches and pains the cursed change had brought. His hands were braced against the moldy tile, fingers splayed out precisely. Just enough pressure exuded from his palms to the wall, only enough to ground him. His lungs shuddered with each slow, steady breath, the cold and pain taking their toll. His feet were squared under his shoulders, planted firmly on the plastic floor lining. Every motion was precise. It gave Greene the illusion of control he had just thoroughly lost. He had always prided himself on his control. A shifter learned control early. It's how they survived. Humans tended to kill things they didn't understand. So by early teens, shifters had their emotions mostly under check, except for the most extreme cases. Kieran had been no different, save for his bloodline. A curse that no one understood, and one that had affected everyone born of his family. He remembered his father succumbing to it plenty of times with the servants. His grandfather destroying villages in fits of maniacal rage. The women and children screaming in fear. Kieran had hoped it wouldn't happen to him. Had hoped he had left it behind. Maybe it was tied to the throne that was meant to be his, or to the Isle. Kieran had been young and hopeful to think that it was that simple. That it was so easy to escape. What? Swim away from a curse that had affected his entire bloodline? How foolish. The first time he had lost control to the cursed beast was during World War II. He and Cooper were in different divisions on the American side, fighting for the Allies. It was the longest they had ever been separated, but both enlisted knowing there was the possibility that neither might come back alive. They felt it was their duty, both as Americans and as shifters, defenders, protectors. As if the other wars they had been in hadn't ripped the wool from their eyes. How was that time any different? He wanted to ask his past self. No matter the questions, no matter the frustrations, past transgressions, past regrets, nothing would have made a difference. Lives were still lost, no matter if he was a human or a shifter. Kieran remembered his squad. Young men eager to fight for their country, eager to make a difference. Survivor's guilt sang a familiar tune, the lost, helpless feeling that spread through his system. He remembered them. All of them. Davies bleeding out in that foggy field. Baker's joyful grin, forever frozen in time, just before he took that final step on a landmine. Gregory's bloodied screams as he fell to the gunfire. There had been countless more, but Jones had been his final straw. Kieran's final straw, taken by the Germans under the cover of night. Jones had been their corporal, the man who always took care of them. Little by little, their deaths chipped away at Greene's defenses until there was nothing left but aching sorrow and a homicidal rage burned by helplessness. What was the point of being strong, of having this ability, if he couldn't protect his friends, his brothers, his family? Something had snapped in him that day. Their faces frozen in time like a snapshot in his mind. He felt an ugly sense of rage, a horrible power. Greene had welcomed it, allowed it to take him over, believing it was just a gift of being a natural alpha. A power his father had never been able to tell him about, one that would make him stronger, give him an edge needed to fight the atrocities of war. He had been wrong. So very, very wrong. Kieran still couldn't remember what he had done. Who he had killed. Kieran woke up a week later in the infirmary, having been found and rescued by Cooper. After that, the Coyote had figured out how to get them discharged, and they avoided war after that. Coop told him later that there was not a single surviving soul on either side left in that entire field, save for him. Kieran had sustained many injuries from that time, injuries that should have killed him, but the cursed beast had kept him alive. Afterwards, soldiers had a new boogeyman to swap ghost tales about over campfires. Watchmen kept a fearful eye out in the darkness, waiting for the glowing green eyes of the Blutiger Teufel, the blooded devil. Guilt and nausea bubbled up, threatening to burst and overwhelm him. It was only the gravity under his feet, the contact of his palms to the wall, and the icy water pelting his back that kept it at bay. Greene was freezing, but it wasn't the water temperature. It was the fear. Fear, anguish, disdain. This time he remembered, and it terrified him. It was terrifying how it snuck up on him, wrapped around his defenses, and crushed them with a single bite. If it hadn't been for Cooper... Winters. What would Kieran have done? What would it have done? What damage would Kieran have caused? How many innocents would he have killed? Would he have been able to be stopped? Just as the man grappled with what had just happened, the tiger within was struggling just as much. Greene felt it buried deep within the dredges of his stained soul, hiding in the darkest of ferns, licking its wounds, snarling softly from the shadows. Why? He asked the tiger, ignoring the hiss of warning. The guilt was going to eat Kieran alive. He needed to know why. Why the tiger had gotten so angry. Why Kieran had gotten so angry. How could they have let this happen? The tiger hated the cursed beast even more than he did. The tiger valued control just as much as the man did. Control made hunts easier. Control made everything easier for both of them. Why? Why did we lose control? How did this happen? Greene's forehead pressed against the hard tile, the grout pressing lines in his skin. Rather than stare blankly at the water going down the drain, Kieran closed his eyes, reaching for the ferns in the lush jungle. Anything to soothe his soul. Anything to give him answers as he awaited the tiger's reply, if he got one at all. All the cat did was whimper. Was it Winters? Did she do anything? Memories flashed, the night's encounters flickering like grainy TV through his mind's eye. The sudden attack in that dark, dank alleyway. Winter's tears, the change in her behavior. Something had changed, but not just with her. Kieran felt compassion for her in that alleyway. Compassion that was unwarranted. Winters had given them no reason. Frustration simmered, but Kieran did nothing. Just let it go down the drain. Winters had gone toe-to-toe with him, with Cursed Beast. She kept Kieran distracted as Cooper worked out what to do next. Winters went into the hotel for them. For him. Kieran had accused her of using magic. Had accused her of lying. Had she, though? Looking back, he knew Winters hadn't lied. Lies had a distinct scent. They left a taste on the senses. There had been none of that. I do not intend to harm you, unlike you to me right now. Liar, you assume you know. Are you ignorant? You can tell if I am lying. You can do magic. Maybe you can hide the truth from a lie. Why would I do that? Why do any of this? I gave you my word. Your words mean nothing. But yours do. Kieran took sharp, deep breaths, guilt scratching at the back of his neck, shame digging its claws into his gut. He gently thumped his forehead against the tile once, twice, 3 times. Oh, how he wished he could go back. Would it even make a difference? The question was bitter, acid dripping on his tongue. Kieran had to face his behavior. Kieran had pushed her. Winters pushed back. She didn't take things to the chin. They were both dominant personalities, neither budging. Winters had asked valid questions, like why Ryu was taken. It was a fair question, and Kieran could see why she would want to know. Winters was working in the dark to an extent, just like the rest of them. Of course, there was her refusal to share information. But Winters had shared some. Not enough for Kieran, but some. Winters had gone into the hotel. It still pissed Kieran off. She had grabbed her jacket. But if it was on the way... He kept his hands planted on the wall. Winters had gone into the hotel, and smoldering ruins or not, she had gotten what they needed. There was no tying them together, and he and Cooper were safe. She was the one on the camera feeds, not them. It had been a stupid, reckless move, but Winters had done it and survived. That was something Kieran wouldn't take lightly, especially since Winters had asked so little of them. I need to highlight a sentence. His chest rumbled with a groan that vibrated up and out of his throat. The woman was a nuisance, a pain in the ass. Winters gave very little information and was very mysterious. She was a fae, most likely anyway. Trouble wrapped in a small, stinky package. Yet, Winters had kept her word. So far. It is complicated. I know that is not what you want to hear. I know you will probably not believe me when I say it is for your own good. That there are things in this world that I had never even fathomed before. Well. But trust me when I say that this is the best option. I gave you my word when I said I would help you get your missing child back. And I know you do not trust me all that much. My word means nothing to you. But it means everything to me. Winters had done her best to keep her word. All she had asked was for them to not cause any more trouble with the vampires, and instead she was the one who went into dangerous territory for them. Had almost died. For them. Winters was mysterious and had many secrets, but it wasn't his right to ask for them. Especially since she hadn't left after Kieran lost control. Had Winters pushed Kieran there? He thought about the rage. The insidious, creeping madness that Kieran hadn't recognized slipping up under his defenses until it was too late. She had made him angry and still made him a little crazy, but no. That was something else. She hadn't done anything to spurn the cursed beast, at least that Kieran could tell. Trouble was, Kieran couldn't tell much. Thumping his forehead a few more times, he tried the tiger again, weariness clinging to his skin. Kieran just wanted to sit on the floor, let the water pour down on him, and sleep. It was only Adam and his daughter, Ryu, that kept him upright. Was it Winters? Yes or no? The ferns shook as Kieran invaded the beast's space, unafraid. His desire for knowledge emboldened him despite the pain that laced their connection. The man had damage from the encounter, but his would fade faster than the tiger's would. Their memory, now that would never fade. The tiger hissed and backed away, retreating faster than the man could invade. Go away! A crazed growl full of pain, but The man didn't care. Couldn't care. Not when Kieran needed that answer. He needed to know. Not without this answer. Kieran could wait for the other questions. But if he was to keep working with Winters for this final stretch, he had to know. What was so special about her? What was it about her that drove him wild with rage? Why did he care? The tiger snarled, being backed into a corner. It could run, but it knew the man was stubborn and strong. It would follow no matter where the cat went. It? He would follow. Yes, a man is an it. I mean, technically, but whatever. So instead, it prowled, stalking the man, trying to take back some of the dignity it had lost. Instead, the tiger prowled. The tiger had lost. No. The woman did nothing to us. Nothing? Greene could barely believe it, feeling the tiger's irate emotions, just as fragile and razzled as his own. Not a single damn thing. Not even a hint of magic? Winters had done something. He was sure of it. She had to have... especially at the end. The tiger opened its jaws in a silent snarl, deep glowing eyes blazing with fury and a myriad of other emotions. No. She saved us from the curse. She did not beckon it. Now leave me be. Greene felt the beast push their shared connection, and suddenly he was back in the shower, disappointment mixed with relief spreading through his system. Confusion marred the sweet taste of relief, but the disappointment just pissed him off. Why was he disappointed? Kieran didn't want to kill her. He just wanted Winters as far away from him as possible. She was trouble, plain and simple. Trouble that saved our ass a few times now. Kieran disliked that grain of truth, the snark of sarcasm making his jaw tighten. Resolutely, Kieran began to wash himself down, telling himself he was taking his time because he needed to, not because he was avoiding said trouble. Avoiding that Winters bothered him, that he just wanted to know all of her secrets for some absurd reason, that Kieran had no reason to want to take her apart like a set of Russian dolls until he understood everything. Kieran was a control freak, and Winters was something that was out of his control. He didn't like that. It was a simple explanation. It just didn't feel like the right one. But the tiger wouldn't lie to him. Kieran did owe Winters an apology, probably, for trying to eat her. For utterly losing it. He scrubbed harder, wincing under the scraping loofah. Scrubbed and scrubbed, as if that would erase the shame, the pain, the memory. Hunt me if you wish, tiger, but know this. Unlike your man, I do not control those underneath me, those bound to me. To take away one's agency, it creates a gaping pit of emotion, a rabbit hole there is no coming back from. All it takes is one misstep. Is this what you are? What shifters are? Creatures ruled by the inner beast in an old-fashioned hierarchy where predators rule and prey are just food? Tell me, do you hunt those under you? Do you cultivate their trust, fatten them up like hogs for slaughter, then release them for some sick, twisted sport, tiger? Is that what your man does? Act like some sort of power-hungry dictator sitting atop a throne of blood and bones of the weak and unworthy? Of those different from you? With Kieran's skin raw, red and bleeding, her voice cut through him. He scrubbed harder. Witcher's was wrong. That was his father and grandfather, not him. Kieran's pack was different from the Isles Kingdom. Kieran was different. I am not them. But the fear lingering in the back of Kieran's head made him question everything, thinking of his pack and his interactions. His system of sub-alphas and sub-clans so that it wasn't just him in charge. A system that was set in place so everyone had a say and there were multiple people in the chain of command in case anyone was afraid to go to Kieran or someone else in charge. Scrub. Kieran didn't differentiate between prey and food. Scrape. He encouraged everyone to be friends with everyone, because everyone was, in part, human. Scrub. A tiger was no better than a gazelle. Scrape. He didn't hunt those different from him, species or otherwise. Lie. The loofah splashed onto the floor, red water draining around it. He had hunted those different from him. He had killed shifters, vampires, humans, and many witches before. Some in self-defense, but in the case of witches, whoops, headset. Some of the killings, I should clarify this bit. Hang on. Some in self-defense, some being the killings. But in the case of witches, well, Kieran had hunted them down, ended them before they could hurt him or his pack. But it wasn't just him, it was all shifters. Everybody hunted witches. They were scum, always trying to kill those around them, subjugate the innocent humans. The witches usually took the first shot, but Kieran always dealt the final blow. He had blood on his hands, yes. But so did everyone else. Is that really a good excuse, though? Kieran wanted to lash out at that errant thought. He didn't, because he had to grow up and accept responsibility for some of his faults in this mess. Winters couldn't have known about his pack. Couldn't have known about his family or their bloody history of Kieran's bloody hands. Winters called it as she saw it. That was clear. It made him angry, and it still did. Because there was a grain of truth there that Kieran had been running from ever since he had jumped out of that window. He could either be pissy about it, or he could learn from her harsh words and be better than them. Better than his family and the other shifters, by the way. I need to clarify so much more. Okay, I'm just going to ask it at this point. Would anybody like to be a better reader, to go through, edit, and, like, ask me the hard questions? Like, please let me know, because I'm pretty much 90% wanting to get this published next year, and self-publish, and I don't want this to look like something really stupid. So if y'all are interested, let me know. Kieran chose the latter and picked up the loofah. Kieran washed his hair next, hearing footsteps coming up to the bedroom, stopping at the bathroom door. Cooper popped his head in, glancing at his friend. Hey, Winters is gone. You got 10 minutes, then we're headed out. She's off at the data farm with Ben. I wiped my phone and gave it to her so they could communicate, and we're also connected to that call. The plan is Winter gets Ben in the system. He supplies us with the address, then we repay her for everything with whatever information Ben can drum up about the clan and their activities after we get the address, because otherwise Winters wouldn't agree to the information exchange. So we're good. No debts to a Fae or otherwise. Cooper waited a minute. You doing better? Mm-hmm. Cooper's face told Kieran Cooper didn't believe the rumbled noise. Mm-hmm. Okay. Hurry up and help me clean up this mess. It's a nightmare, and I hate cleaning. The coyote's retreating whining sparked a little smile, and that eased some of the shame and misery that sat like a boulder on Kieran's chest. The boulder lessened as he turned the water off, feeling secure that Winters was not out there. Kieran didn't have to see her, didn't have to feel the shame and the confusion. I am expendable, and you are not. The door creaked and wobbled as he opened it, taking deliberate steps onto the bare floor so he wouldn't fall. Who am I? The towel was thin and stringy in his hands. I am someone you will forget. As Kieran toweled himself dry, he thought about her face, Witcher's body language, the fear he had felt as he watched her in the hotel camera feeds. How Winters was so injured, but the first thing she had asked was about them and the devices, what information they had gotten. How she seemed to not care about herself, but cared about their endeavors. Kieran's hair went askew with the damp towel, as the damp towel vigorously rubbed the chestnut locks semi-dry. His own errant curiosity and desire for knowledge had spurred that rage, at least in some part. And it was all to know about her. Kieran put the towel in the dirty clothes basket, realizing that while Winters was not 100% correct about everything, he agreed with her on one thing. Winters was someone Kieran needed to forget. So, after this was all said and done, Kieran would. Kieran was going to go home and work on his control. Learn everything he could about the curse, if he could find anything at all. Maybe take some anger management classes. Put himself in stressful situations to test his endurance, and Kieran was going to become stronger. Better. And he was going to forget about the trouble with haunting blue eyes, a patchwork jacket, and the veil of mysteries she carried with her. I am someone you will forget. Yes. Yes, you are. Well, actually, that's a really good spot to stop, because I even have a little divider thingy. That's nice. Okay, so we're going to say it here. Alright, so we're on page 107. 137. Okay, yeah. I'd say that was good. Okay, so, like I said, it's a little short today, but to be honest, we still have like another 30-something pages to get through, so we will hopefully get through those next week, and then we will be done with the early morning section of this prequel of mine. As a reminder, we have the early morning, we're halfway, a new dawn, which is next, and that is Winters. She gets her own little part. Then we have the Crimson Sunrise and an epilogue. And then that is Chicago done. So, yeah. Kieran, I'm sorry. Can we just say I am someone you'll forget? Yes, yes you are. Do we think Kieran's going to forget Winters over here? Just even if you know nothing about this, or for those who do, maybe this isn't a good question. Do we think he's gonna forget? If you were in his situation, could you forget? I'm honestly not sure I could. Not after, especially after the hunt. Yeah, that's gonna be sitting with him for a very long time. Yeah. I feel bad for what I put him through, for the record. It's a lot. So yeah. I don't really have much else to say, but let me expand on this. So I know I've kind of talked about it here and there. the publishing and whatnot, but I think saying I'm healed is so freaking stupid, but I had something. The reason I started sharing my work, my writing more on Twitter and reading it out loud through this series and like the one I did with Lost in Time and stuff, I have always been really insecure about my writing, but it wasn't to the level that it got up until several years ago now. And a particular encounter happened. I'm not really going to talk about it because it's not really pertinent anymore. Um, and it affected me badly, and I did allow it to affect me badly. To the point that I still get really in my head about sharing. I get really in my head about sharing in a really bad way. I'm the person that people come to, that my friends come to, when they have writing questions. Oh, is this good? What would you change here? What's the outline, this and that? And it always hits me because it's like I'm more than happy to help them, but like they never ask about mine. And then when I talk about I feel like they're not listening, and I feel like I have to like interject myself. And it's like I'm the friend for everybody else that I wish I had, and maybe that's because I'm like a shitty person. I don't know. And I'm not saying that like in jest or something. Like I'm honestly saying like, you know, maybe I'm on a karma level, you know what I mean? I don't know. So it is hard for me to share, and it is I don't know. I can't really see myself doing a whole publishing thing, sending it in and whatnot. I've done that once or twice before with Lost in Time, and this book, Chicago, is a lot better than Lost in Time ever was. A Witch's Debt and stuff. But like, I just don't really have a lot of people who read my stuff and like tell me and things. I had one person who is the whole reason actually I wrote Chicago, because I talk about Chicago in the first book. But I was on the fence about actually writing about Chicago, and she was like, "You really shouldn't." There was some stuff that she said that I didn't really take to heart. I didn't like the direction that she kind of wanted it to go in, but I also liked a lot of her advice, and I was really grateful for that. So now I've gone back to the drawing board. I'm writing the first book. I'm, obviously needing to go back through and edit Chicago a little bit more. But all of this is to say I've been trying to get over my own fears and insecurities when it comes to writing. I've been making myself write more because I couldn't write for years. And that hurt, and it still hurts, and I think I've got most of my spark back, not all of it. So, and like I have a friend on Twitter that I know she's a safe space, and I still cannot hit that send button. I still can't do it. So, anyway, but I do want to publish this, even if it's, I'm spending a couple $100, several $100, and a lot of time. It would mean a lot to me to have these stories like actually in my hands, So, circling back. Sorry, I just cried. I'm crying right now. Great. Anyway, that being said, before I go through that whole process, I want to initiate it next year, but I know it's going to take money, and so I want to save that money up, and of course I still need to get a job and stuff. There's other things I need to do, but I think I'm going to go down that route of self-publishing because it's mostly my control, you know what I mean? And it's going to be hard in a lot of ways. But I think for me, that's going to be the most comfortable way, and whatever comes of it, comes of it. That being said, if anybody would like to help me by being a beta reader, an editor, or just like have it like me just send a copy of the document for y'all to go through and be like, well, this part doesn't make sense. Can you clarify? Or you need to add a little bit more information here, or does this have to be here? Like stuff like that where it's, does this make sense? Does the sentence in the paragraphs make sense? Because I'm the author and it's hard. I mean, I'm catching some stuff while I'm rereading for this series, for these videos, but it is hard for me. It's one thing with the grammar and the editing and like changing all the pronouns. I can do that. It's a whole nother thing of, okay, but what is it? Or, okay, but like this bit, these couple of sentences here, like I'm not quite seeing where they're connecting. Can you clarify, you know? So if anybody would like to read and like give me some notes or something, or just read and see, yeah, this is something that I would like to have, like I think this is good or something, just anything, that would be fantastic, and do not feel obligated or anything. This is me just putting that out there because there may be somebody. Yeah, so I'm done with college, and the last 3 months has kind of made me realize that it's like really the world is my oyster, and I can do quite a few things. I just need to work for it and work hard for it, and I will achieve my goals. And there's no reason this shouldn't be one of them, even though I am really scared. And I feel like it's not good enough. But yeah. And you know, something happened today that it just, once again, it kind of showed me, it's like, hey, the things that you quietly want that you don't talk to anybody about, you can do it. So this is me putting that out in the universe. Check back here next year, hopefully, and I'll have information on that, you know? So, yeah. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Sorry for the crying, and for it being a little bit shorter. I hope I got some work done on the blanket. I haven't crocheted it actually at all this week because I've been working on my leaf commission, which is, I need more time for that. I need more time for everything. I need the Harry Potter time stopper thingy madoodad that Hermione had. Can I have that? But anyway, I'm going to go for my walk now, and I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. I hope y'all enjoyed this video for whatever you got out of it. And thank y'all so very much for watching and listening. I really appreciate anybody who tunes into any of my videos. It means the world to me. So, yeah, thank you. And go treat yourself today. Bye, guys.